Horror movies are a beloved genre for many fans. However, for every iconic horror scene that's been etched into the public consciousness, there are countless other moments that are often overlooked or forgotten. This list will explore the subtle details in the background that hint at something sinister, moments of eerie foreshadowing that set the stage for the terror to come, and the scenes that are often overshadowed by the more obvious scares. So, taking all of that into account, I'm Adam from What Culture, and here are 10 most overlooked horror movie scenes. Number 10. Classroom discussion, Hereditary. There are many disturbing scenes throughout Hereditary, with Charlie's dismembered head, Annie sawing her own head off, Charlie's notebook, and Peter breaking his own nose, to name a few. But one scene that's often overlooked is the discussion in Peter's classroom before we see Charlie behead a dead pigeon. Peter himself isn't paying attention to what's being said in class as he is distracted by looking at his crush, who is sitting directly in front of him. If you listen closely, what is said in the scene describes the entire plot of the film. The discussion in the classroom hears Peter's crush talk about a Greek mythology play. She describes how the character Hercules' fatal flaw is how he refuses to look at all the signs that are being handed to him throughout the story. Another classmate jumps in and states the characters are all just pawns in this horrible hopelessness, describing how the Graham family are being controlled by another force and have no control over their lives. As the classmate puts it, they are pawns in the pagan god's plans. Interestingly, the blackboard shows the words escaping fate, though the Graham family are unfortunately unable to escape the fate that has been put upon them. Number 9. Digestion scene, Nope. The most recent film from Jordan Peele, Nope has many scary and disturbing scenes throughout. Most notably, the Gordy's Home Massacre had many viewers shocked and disturbed by the events of a chimp going rogue, killing everyone in sight. However, probably the most disturbing scene of all is often overlooked by the mystery of the massacre. Ricky is putting on a live show using OJ and Emerald's horse Lucky as bait for the alien to come and show itself to the audience. The plan ultimately backfires, as the alien, also known as Jean Jacket, comes out of hiding and abducts Ricky and the entire audience. Before seeing what happens to them, viewers are led to believe that this is your usual alien abduction where people are beamed up to a ship. Oh, how audiences couldn't be more wrong. We get a glimpse of what happens to those who get abducted, and the results are horrifying. People are heard begging and screaming for their lives as the alien digests the poor victims one by one. In a scene after, you can still vaguely hear the screams of the people who are yet to be eaten up by the alien. If you have a fear of being eaten alive and/or claustrophobia, then this scene you definitely need to look away from. The only survivor of this horrible sequence is OJ and Emerald's horse, Lucky. Number 8. Lena meets her double, Annihilation. Unlike other horror scenes, when Lena meets her double in Annihilation, the scene is completely lit up, showing all the horror and panic that she is feeling while fighting her mimic. The sequence is deeply unsettling, as we see the mimic mirroring every move Lena is making and learning how to move and act human. However, there are theories that when the mimic touched and modeled itself after Lena, it also took a piece of her consciousness, understanding the grief she is feeling, which is why the mimic took the grenade. The scene is an excellent combination of physical horror and sci-fi, as audiences can see the progression of the mimic's mirroring through their fight. As Lena's double burns to death when the grenade goes off, it symbolizes Lena letting go of all the grief and pain she is feeling after losing her husband. This scene brings up a lot of questions, theories, and feelings about how audiences interpret the ending of Annihilation. Number 7. Roman's loss, Get Out. Get Out is full of subtle clues to help the audience figure out the true intentions of Rose and her family. Early on in the film, Chris learns about Rose's grandfather, Roman, a runner who was beaten by Jesse Owens in the qualifying round to race in the 1936 Berlin Olympics, a win Roman almost got over. This is a line that can be easily thrown away, but is one of the most important in the entire picture. For a little history lesson, the 1936 Summer Olympics was seen as an opportunity for for Hitler to promote Nazism, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. However, Jesse Owens became the most successful athlete to compete in the Berlin Olympics, subsequently squashing Hitler's plans to promote any white supremacy. This is important to get out, as the Armitage family were white supremacists themselves, subtly implying that Rose's grandfather never got over losing to Owens as it ruined their plans of promoting whiteness. Roman's loss developed into an obsessive hatred towards black people as he founded the Order of Coagula, perfecting the process of kidnapping and brainwashing black people to plant white people's brains inside their bodies in order to use them as vessels. Roman's obsession with beating Jesse Owens is shown throughout the film, as he uses Walter's body, which his brain has been inserted into, to sprint around the family garden, constantly trying to beat Owens in his head. Number 6. Cult members attack Annabelle. As a spin-off to the highly popular Conjuring universe, Annabelle unfortunately disappointed many fans due to how boring the film was. The picture follows the story of Mia and John, who were terrorized by Annabelle after cultists put a curse on the doll. The moment these cult members attack is a scene that's one of the best and most exciting in the entire movie. Satanic worshippers are nothing new in horror movies, of course, but they play a massive part at the beginning of Annabelle's story. We first see Mia and John's neighbours brutally murdered by their daughter named Annabelle, who ran away and joined a cult. These cultists attack both John and Mia after John tries to help the murdered couple. The invaders violently attack the couple, and one of the attackers is killed after the police arrive and shoot them. Annabelle, the person, kills herself by slitting her throat inside John and Mia's nursery while holding the Annabelle doll, and marking the wall with a satanic symbol that can only be assumed to help the demon transfer from her body into the doll. This sequence is highly important to start the horror that surrounds the Annabelle doll and lay the foundations for Ed and Lorraine Warren's supernatural adventures on screen. Number 5. Cell phone recording Lake Mungo. Thanks to TikTok, Lake Mungo has slowly gained more popularity, with horror enthusiasts often naming the movie as one of the scariest and best horrors in recent history. Lake Mungo begins with the drowning of a teenage girl, Alice, whose spirit haunts her family home. When the family move out of the house, after believing they have helped Alice's spirit move on, the credits show how Alice has been with the audience throughout the entire feature, showing her ghost in many scenes. The shocking twist of this scene often overlooks the phone recording sequence, where viewers see Alice walking along Lake Mungo and encountering a corpse-like doppelganger of herself with a bloated and disfigured face, just as she would look after being found dead in the lake. What is scarier than seeing a ghost? Seeing your own ghost. This scene is executed exceptionally well, as it builds up slowly to make audiences believe that nothing is going to happen, but suddenly it turns out to be a terrifying jump scare. Number 4. Lakehouse Attack, It Follows. It Follows is one of the best horror movies of the past decade. After being terrorized by creepy figures constantly following her, Jay is driven to her friend's lake house, where she is taught to shoot a revolver and get away from the terror that she's been dealing with. As Jay is sitting in a chair on the beach, viewers can subtly see a figure in the background appear from the bushes. As the entity makes its way towards Jay and we see it come closer, she and her friends are oblivious to what's happening. Jay's pals try to help fight the entity off despite not being able to see it, and one of the best scares here is when a boy suddenly appears through a hole in the door. This scene ups the anxiety viewers have been feeling and also shows that, no matter where Jay goes, she'll always be running from this eerie entity. Number 3. Aaron is Still Alive, Creep 2. The ending of the first Creep film has become iconic, as we saw Joseph kill Aaron with an axe in broad daylight and ask the camera why his victim didn't turn around. As a result, this made Aaron Joseph's favourite victim, as Aaron believed Joseph to be a good person. Somehow, the ending of Creep 2 is just as disturbing, if not more so. By the time of his sequel, Joseph is now using the name Aaron and finds himself dissatisfied with his killings. Going through something of a midlife crisis, Aaron brings in YouTuber Sarah to his cabin. Sarah is used to witnessing weird things, as her online series Encounters finds her visiting the homes of many isolated and lonely men. However, this visit turns almost deadly, as Aaron attempts to murder Sarah because he wants the documentary to end with them both committing suicide. After a fight, Sarah is shown emerging from her shallow grave and hits Aaron in the back of the head before running away. At the final moments of Creep 2, viewers see Sarah unknowingly being followed and recorded in public. A familiar whistle tone is sung, causing Sarah to look directly into the camera as her face drops. This ending suggests Aaron survived, since we never saw him die, and is stalking Sarah, just like he stalked the original Aaron in the first film. Still, there is a theory that Sarah and Aaron are working together at the end of Creep 2 to create the perfect video for her YouTube channel. Number 2. The calls are coming from inside the house when a stranger calls. The trope that the killer has been in the house the whole time has now become overused and boring. However, one of the scariest moments in horror history is in 1979's When a Stranger Calls. When the police tell Jill that they've traced the calls, they're coming from inside the house. Because of the overuse of the killer hiding in the house, this scene is now often overlooked for the sheer terror both the audience and Carol Kane's Jill Johnson were feeling when the shocking twist was revealed. Even the chilling call of the stranger asking if Jill's checked the children is more disturbing after finding out the killer had already killed the youngsters before calling her. The classic line plays from a famed urban legend of the babysitter and the man upstairs, which originated during the 1950s from the unfortunate true story of Janet Chrisman. Chrisman receives calls from a stranger when babysitting and was tragically murdered. Despite house calls now being an old and almost unusable trope due to the use of smartphones, the original use never fails to send chills down anyone's spine. Number 1. The Librarian, It. Stephen King's It got the reboot treatment in 2017 and became a smash hit with both critics and audiences alike. The first of Andy Muschietti's 2 films focused on the loser clubs as kids and their first fight with Pennywise. This fantastically had Pennywise's presence felt throughout the entire runtime, but the scene featured here may be one that viewers easily overlooked during a first watch. Derry newcomer Ben Hanscom visits the local library to learn more about the town's disturbing history. While there, he interacts with an old librarian who questions why he's studying the history of the town instead of playing outside with his friends. The librarian seems innocent enough, but is she? As Ben is reading about the Kitchener Ironworks explosion in which 102 people were unfortunately killed, cast your eyes to the background of this scene. There you'll see the librarian staring straight at Hanscom with a creepy grin spread across her face. The librarian also slowly moves closer to Ben throughout this sequence, with her creepy smile never fading. An overarching theme in the It book is that Pennywise is infecting Derry with his evil. This scene proves that theory, as it is one of the early signs that Pennywise has taken total control over the town and is watching everything that's happening. And there we have it, folks, our list of the most overlooked scenes in horror movies. But please do let us know down in the comments section what's the most recent horror franchise or property that's really freaked you out. If you want to follow me on socials, I am at Strawn87 on Twitter and on Instagram. Come and say hello to me on there. Thank you for watching, everyone, and until next time, take care.